if you study the six Goswamis' writings, all their Stavamalas, Savavali, etc., when they're talking about the intimacies of Radha and Krishna's Madhurya Leela, there's a certain border. My teacher taught me that. There's a certain border which they would not cross. They would say, oh, Krishna embraced the gopis, he kissed the gopis, and there's certain things. But they have a certain border of decency or morality which they don't cross. So if you see something that's written and it's attributed, and it says, oh, this is by Rupa Goswami, if you see the content of that writing, there's 2 points. There's a few points to judge whether that writing is actually authentic or not. One point is the content. Where does this writing, to what extent does it go to in the description of Radha Krishna Leela? And the other extent is, what is the Sanskrit language? Because all the Goswamis wrote in Sanskrit. What is the style? What is the chandas? So, for example, there's one very popular, very beautiful, and very popular and sweet song. It's called Nikunja Rahasya Stava. Nikunja Rahasya Stava. And it says on it Rupa Goswami. And many all Goswamis and different temple Goswamis, they sing this and very beautiful and it's very famous. So, but it's not anywhere mentioned in Stavamala. And it's not in any ancient books. If you go to Jiva Institute or you go to Vrindavan Institute and find very ancient manuscripts of the Goswami books, there's no, do you know this point? Nikunja Rahasya Stava. I don't know if you're aware of that poem. It's very popular. And also, it's not Rupa Goswami, because in the translation, it's about Radha and Krishna. And very rhyming. It almost sounds like the Madhurastakam. Very simple to sing. It's all in the Sanskrit. The last words all rhyme. It's very easy to sing and very easy flowing. And they said, and all of our learned pandits and acharyas say this is not Rupa Goswami. Someone later wrote it and put Rupa Goswami's name on it to make it popularized. So therefore, even the Goswamis in the writing, for example, Jayadev Goswami wrote Gita Govind. That was 1,000 years ago. So he is not under the tutelage or training of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, and Sanatana Goswami, they're all and Rai Ramananda, they didn't write much and too much, so many books, a few things. But Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and Raghunath Das, they were all personally trained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so, and they're all consistent. All the six Goswamis, and Narottam Das, and Baladev Vidyabhushan, and Vishwanath, everyone writes within Vishwanath maybe extends a little bit, but they write within a certain boundary. But Jayadev Goswami, Gita Govinda, and they're all describing Radha and Krishna, they're all describing Madhurya Leela and Kunja Leela and all these things. Jayadev Goswami goes way beyond the borders of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, what he would consider acceptable. And of course, he himself was relishing Gita Govinda and the Gambhira, but there's something called Anusaran and Anukaran. So this is a big problem because people say, oh, it's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Lord Chaitanya is studying Gita Govinda, so we can study Gita. So that's called Anukaran, imitating Lord Chaitanya. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya is teaching and setting an example as acharya, as guru. And sometimes he's relishing his own personal ecstasies in the Radha Bhav. And so some things we can follow, that's called following the footsteps, that's called Anusaran. So the guru is required because no one can understand any shastra, especially the very esoteric and deep shastras of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, without being at the feet of a guru. He'll misunderstand everything. So therefore, he's deep in the, Lord Chaitanya is studying Gita Govinda and Krishna Karnamrita. So our acharyas will give us Krishna Karnamrita because it's within the boundaries of discussion and glorification of Krishna, mostly in Radharani, you can say, that's acceptable to Lord Chaitanya and acceptable to six Goswamis. We don't see, have your guru has commented on Gita Govinda? I'm asking you a question. The answer is no. So, you understand the point I'm saying? There's many points I'm saying, but especially this point of Anusara, misunderstanding Shastra, because with Lord Chaitanya, father of Sankirtan movement, Lord Chaitanya served all the Vaishnavas 5 times more than they can eat, so these things you follow: serve the Vaishnavas, dance in kirtan, follow the Rath Yatra card, all these things. But it's so many misunderstandings. You read Radharani Sudhanidhi, and everywhere it glorifies Radharani's name. Oh, I don't chant Hare Krishna anymore. I just chant Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. This is totally Maya. It's not Krishna conscious at all. So without Guru, you get nowhere. You have to be guided properly. Because if you read the same book, if you actually read the book with the brain, because that's in his ecstasy of exaltation and glorifying Radharani's name. If you search the entire Vedas, you'll not find two syllables more, the more powerful and precious than these two syllables, Radha. And many verses. I gave many classes in Radharani Sudhanidhi. I was going through Radharani Sudhanidhi 10 years ago. I gave a series of classes on all the verses about Radharani's name, and all the verses about Radharani's form, and all the verses about Radharani's qualities. This is years ago. I wanted to go through Radharani Sudhanidhi and break it, not one by one, because I do things different way. So I wanted, all the verses, Radharani's glorification of Radharani's lotus feet. There's many verses you can collect, which I did, and I gave classes on. They're on the SoundCloud. So there's many verses about the holy name. But then verse 256, because the last thing people say is usually the most important. The last thing before I die is pretty important. Tavevasmi, na jivami toyavina, itivigaya devi tuam, nayamam charnantikam. That's 102. There's 104 verses in the Lilas Kusumanjali, and this is maybe 96 or 102, right at the end. The whole conclusion of his lamentation of Das Goswami and his ecstasy of pain of separation is, I'm yours, Radharani, I'm yours. Do you hear me? Do you understand this? Do you know anything about me? Please, I'm dying, I'm about to die. Take me to you. I don't want another birth. I don't want to come back. Take me, take me, take me. I am yours, keep me at your lotus feet forever. So that's the final word. So 250, I think it's 256 in Lilas Kusumanjali. Then this is what we follow. This is the anusaran, the surrendering, the following the teachings rather than imitating.